I never thought my marriage would end this way. When I first met Daniel, he was charming, funny, and made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. We fell in love quickly, got married, and for years, I believed we had something special. But slowly, things began to change. He started coming home later than usual, glued to his phone, turning the screen away whenever I walked by. At first, I told myself it was just stress from work. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Night, I noticed a notification light up on his smartwatch that he had left charging in the living room. It was a message from someone named Claire. My stomach twisted. I picked it up, hands shaking, and saw the words, "I miss you already." My world crashed in that moment. I confronted Daniel the next morning, but he brushed it off, claiming Claire was just a coworker and that I was overthinking. He made me feel crazy for even asking, but his lies couldn't hide the truth for long. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing little things. Hotel receipts in his car, unexplained charges on our joint account, and perfume on his clothes that definitely wasn't mine. My heart broke more with every discovery, but I kept quiet. Instead of screaming or crying, I decided to be smart. If Daniel thought he could play me for a fool, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. I began collecting everything, screenshots of his texts, copies of receipts, even photos from a friend who spotted him at a restaurant with Claire. Every piece of evidence I tucked away carefully. Daniel had no idea that while he thought he was fooling me, I was building a case strong enough to destroy him. At night, while he pretended to work late, I was meeting with a divorce lawyer. She told me to stay calm, play along, and prepare. That was when we came up with the perfect plan. I would file taxes separately. Daniel had been hiding parts of his income, and by filing on my own, I would not only protect myself, but also ensure he couldn't drag me down financially. When I finally told him I wanted a divorce, he smirked as if he had won. Fine. He said, "I'll move on with Claire. You'll be fine." He thought I would break down, beg him to stay, or fight over scraps. But I stayed calm, almost cold, and just replied, "We'll see." He had no clue what storm was waiting for him. The day of the court hearing came, and I was ready. I wore my best navy blue suit, hair tied back neatly, and walked into that courtroom with my head held high. Daniel arrived looking smug, his lawyer by his side, confident this would be quick and painless. He couldn't have been more wrong. His lawyer started by painting him as a hardworking husband who had simply fallen out of love, arguing that the marriage had just run its course. I sat quietly, letting them talk, while my lawyer prepared our case. When it was our turn, everything changed. One by one, my lawyer revealed the evidence: hotel receipts, expensive dinners charged to our joint account, jewelry purchased and gifted to Claire, and finally, the text messages. The courtroom went silent when the words, "I can't wait to see you again," flashed on the screen. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, his smugness fading fast. Then came the real bombshell. My lawyer explained how I had filed taxes separately, protecting myself from Daniel's hidden income and potential fraud. The judge looked at him with narrowed eyes. Daniel tried to defend himself, blurting out, "It wasn't fraud. I just didn't report a few bonuses, that was it." The judge slammed the gavel, reminding him he was under oath. The damage was done. After hours of testimony, the judge finally delivered the verdict. Daniel was ordered to pay me a settlement of $30,000 and was held solely responsible for any of his tax issues. I will never forget the look on his face. The smugness was gone, replaced by shock and defeat. His lawyer whispered angrily to him while he buried his face in his hands. Meanwhile, I walked out of that courtroom with silent pride, my heels echoing across the marble floor. But the story didn't end there. News of his affair spread quickly at his office. HR got involved, and not long after, Daniel lost the promotion he had been chasing for years. His shiny new relationship with Claire started to crumble too. Without the thrill of sneaking around, they were just two ordinary, bitter people stuck with each other. Meanwhile, Daniel was drowning in debt, bitterness, and regret. As for me, I flourished. I moved into a new apartment decorated exactly how I wanted, filled with warmth and light Daniel never allowed. I started therapy, reconnected with old friends, and hit the gym. Piece by piece, I rebuilt myself not as someone's wife, but as my own person. I even took a solo trip to Italy, something Daniel always said was too expensive. Standing under the Colosseum, sipping wine in Tuscany, I realized I didn't need anyone to complete me. I was whole all along. Months later, I got a pathetic text from Daniel. "Hey, I made a mistake. Claire isn't who I thought she was. Can we talk?" I laughed out loud, deleted the message, and never replied. Because my revenge was never about getting him back or making him jealous. It was about showing him that he couldn't break me. And I won. In the end, Daniel lost his wife, $30,000, his reputation, and his career momentum. Claire got a broke cheater, not the dream man she imagined. And me? I gained freedom, peace, and a glow-up so powerful it burned brighter than any revenge. I could have planned. Sometimes the best revenge isn't anger or tears, but success. It's walking away with your head high while they drown in the mess they created. And trust me, there is no better feeling than watching the person who betrayed you realize you were the best thing they ever had, and they can never have you back. My ex-husband suddenly told me he wanted a divorce and lied that there wasn't anyone else. It was actually his high school girlfriend. So I filed separately on my taxes and cost him $50,000. This happened a few years ago. I like telling this story because it's a personal victory for me, even though it was hell to live through. I don't recommend this path to anyone, but somehow I came out winning. And you're not supposed to win a divorce. But I did. My ex and I had what I thought was a normal marriage. We did things together, we planned vacations and supported each other. I didn't think it was a bad marriage at all. Then suddenly everything collapsed after 10 years of marriage, 13 years together. One night after his therapy session, he came home. Sitting at the dinner table while crying over the food I had made, he blurted out, "I'm not in this relationship anymore." I was floored. Didn't see it coming. When I asked him why, he gave me some ridiculous excuse about how I didn't talk well on the phone in the early days of our relationship. Yeah, that comes back later. I asked multiple times if there was someone else. Every time he said no. That night we slept in separate beds. I was devastated. The next day, like a fool, I even sent flowers to him at work. I was lost, broken, and confused. That night, he came home angry, aggressive. I asked again if it was truly over. He said yes. So, I told him, "Then you're leaving." In the days that followed, I kept thinking, why bring up old phone calls from over a decade ago? It didn't make sense. So I checked the phone records, and there it was. Long 40 to 50-minute conversations with a number I didn't recognize. Checked the Ring camera. He would leave work, call this number, talk the whole way, and hang up right before pulling into the driveway. I looked up the number. My heart sank. It was his high school girlfriend. I called him calmly and gave him one chance to be honest. I told him that when I asked if there was someone else, maybe he thought I meant physically, but I was asking emotionally. He admitted there was someone helping him get through this. Then I said her name. He froze. He looked shocked that I had found out. He insisted it wasn't going to be a relationship because of distance, a lie. They're married now. At that moment, I knew the truth. I also knew I wouldn't let him control the situation anymore. Until then, I left it on him to file for divorce. But not anymore. I was going to take charge of this chaos. Financial background. I had supported him through med school, residency, and even when he started medical practice. Eventually, he earned 7 to 8 times more than me. When he left, he refused to help with the mortgage or bills. Cruel, irresponsible, selfish words I never thought I'd use for the man I married. But here was his mistake. I had always done the finances. I knew everything. As the divorce process unfolded, more pieces fell into place. He applied for a medical license in her state, canceled local clinic appointments, and flew out to see her only 2 weeks after leaving me. His credit card statements revealed lingerie purchases, the most humiliating insult. We still shared his Amazon account. On my phone, I could see every purchase. Mixed in with ordinary items were sex toys, a butt plug, and 2 prostate massagers shipped straight to her address. I screenshotted everything and handed it to my lawyer. Mediation. Mediation was scheduled for April 11th. I hoped for closure, but they tried to drag it out to pressure me. 4 hours wasted, no resolution. I was furious but ready. What they didn't know was that I had a secret weapon. Months earlier, besides my divorce lawyer, I had hired a tax attorney. Divorce lawyers can't give tax advice. My tax attorney told me I could file separately, meaning he would be stuck with his own tax burden. Once I filed separately, he had no choice but to file separately too, and I knew his finances better than anyone. I had always been the one paying taxes, cutting checks to the IRS, making sure everything balanced. After he left, I even warned him not to mess with taxes. He didn't listen. He thought he was smarter than me. So on April 13th, I filed separately. Taxes were due April 18th. His lawyer had assumed we'd file jointly. They were in for a shock. On April 19th, the day after taxes were due, his lawyer sent a smug, arrogant final offer. My lawyer replied with my terms and added at the end, "Client has already filed separately." His lawyer panicked. Within 20 minutes, they demanded I deposit my refund into a shared account. Joke's on them. My refund was only $300. They realized instantly that I had just cost him $50,000 plus in taxes and penalties. They scrambled for another week before caving to my terms. He also still had to pay me alimony, but now insisted on smaller, separate payments because thanks to my tax move, he couldn't afford it. Finale. 2 months later, he had to come back to the house one last time. And the best part? He had to bring her. She didn't want to, but I told him, "Don't worry. He doesn't owe me loyalty." He didn't look at me, didn't say hello. Classy. Who knows, maybe he was embarrassed that I knew about his little purchases. As they drove away, I turned around, snapped a selfie with their car in the background, and kept it. That photo still makes me smile. The divorce was finalized on my birthday. I threw the best birthday plus divorce party ever. One final note. I later found out his divorce lawyer was the same guy suing my ex's best friend in malpractice suits. Turns out my ex saw what that lawyer was doing to her friend and wanted him to do the same to me. What a cruel, pathetic move. Once I learned that I left a 5-star review for the lawyer, I didn't hire him. My ex did. Worked out great for me. He missed the most obvious thing in the case, and it was epic. Thanks for the sweet victory. 5 stars, especially if he's your opposing counsel. Since then, my life has only improved. Looking back, that was the lowest moment of my life, but I turned it into victory. Keep your powder dry, y'all.